welcome everybody. Before we start, I'd like to acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. It is upon their ancestral lands that the University of Sydney is built. As we share our own knowledge, teaching, learning and research practices within this university, we may also pay respect to the knowledge embedded forever within the Aboriginal custodianship of country. My first year students tell me I'm very good at stating the obvious, so I'll state the obvious. I've been to workshops recently where the conclusions seem to be worked out in advance, and the aim of the workshop is to get to those conclusions. Stating the obvious, this isn't the case here. We don't know where this is going to end up, whether it's going to produce anything valuable or whatever it will produce. But I know I'm no real expert in the area. I've dabbled in one area, and a lot of you are probably similar in that you've dabbled in various areas, some more than others, but all we can do is just learn from each other during the day. So the pattern for the sessions, as you probably know, we've got 20-minute presentation, more or less, it's pretty rough, 10 minutes question time, more or less, and then roundtable discussion for 40 minutes, more or less. It won't really matter if we don't finish one discussion on one issue, we can just catch it up in the next. So time is a little bit flexible in that regard. The themes that we've got, as you guys have seen in the program, as I said in some of the emails, which a lot of you will have got, we were trying to sort of roughly match the discussion topics to the presenters, but it was never a perfect match, and I don't think that matters anyway. So the first discussion topic this morning is synchronous e-learning, this notion of geographic freedom, where students work remotely and join in live at timetable class times. But as I say, the discussion can spread beyond that. Second session is the temporal freedom, the asynchronous learning. That's where the pace, the place and the path of the learning may be determined by the student. But I've also thrown in there something else that you guys sort of voted as being significant, and that's e-learning in discipline-specific areas. I've actually got that in multiple places, but I think it's just a matter of seeing how the discussion goes as to what goes where. The next one is e-learning in design particularly, which is one of those difficult areas. And again, we've got e-learning in discipline-specific areas if we want to get onto that in that session. And after lunch, looking at academic support for e-learning and learning tools for student feedback, assessment, and information management. And the last session of the day, various strategies of flipped classrooms, gamification, and maybe look at research opportunities at the end of the day. Now, when I thought about it sort of later, it seemed that we were bouncing between two different ways of seeing exactly the same thing. So one was sort of different e-learning approaches, synchronous e-learning, asynchronous e-learning, flipped classrooms, gamification, whatever, and the syllabus areas which these e-learning approaches could be applied to: design, history, theory, technology, communications, professional practice, whatever. And it's like we sort of bounce between. I don't think when we actually discuss it, it's going to be impossible to tease those apart. So when we're discussing e-learning in the next, synchronous e-learning in the next session, obviously the discipline-specific stuff will creep in. Now, when we first set out on this sort of journey to create the workshop, we were assuming that, well, to begin with, we only had about 13 or 14 participants, but it's grown to 26 delegates, which means we've had to split into two round tables, because with 26, I sort of tested it out. There's no way. So we got the two tables for discussion. Now, again, I discussed this sort of by email a little bit, but the problem that creates is that normally what you do in that situation is maybe you'd have a scribe who would record something so that it can be shared. Whatever's found at each table can be shared. my experience is that sort of causes everybody a lot of stress, and the person who actually presents ends up presenting their own agenda. So, so what we've done is we have two note takers, Ivana and Alexandra, for each table. They're both PhD candidates, and they're also experienced designers, so they'll know what's going on, and they're also experienced teachers, so it's very useful. And they'll basically be recording what's happening, but at the end, what we'd like is that if you can leave 5 minutes or more to help them gather together any points that come out of that discussion, so you're all happy with the points, and then we'll find a way of uploading those onto screens and giving you handouts of whatever's been recorded for the two sessions. So you'll have a record of what's come out of both tables, if anything comes out of it. So the suggested framework for discussing these issues during the 40 minutes, I first of all thought about maybe we start with what hurdles needed to be overcome, possibilities that open up using the technologies, and the practical strategies to get there. It then started to sound a lot like the SWOT analysis that I remember doing when I went through university many years ago. So I thought maybe we just keep it simple. We could start by looking backwards, so talk about from your own experience what has worked and what hasn't worked for one part of the 40 minutes, and then what might the future hold with this particular technology? What new approaches might we come up with? So just keep the breakdown simple in the discussion. Wandering off topic, I'm not really worried if people sort of wander off topic, I suppose, unless you start talking about the two big grand finals that are coming out this weekend. But I'll leave it up to Ivana and Alexandra to sort of whip you back onto where you need to go. Which table to join? I haven't sort of divided people up, but I guess the sensible thing to do is, because we've got situations where quite a few delegates are from the same university, so it'd be best if they went to different tables so they can share their knowledge with the different tables and bring back the knowledge from the different tables. That would be useful. Coffee and tea, it's all day over there, so just get up and take it when you need it. There is better quality coffee around the corner in our hub, which are also free to go and use. It's one of those capsule coffee things. Morning tea is 10:20, coffee break 11:40, and then we've got lunch, which is down in the heart. That's the ground level on the City Road. I think they're setting it up there because I think it's more pleasant than up here. Then we've got afternoon tea and then some drinks maybe at the end of the day. That's it from me. Any questions? No? Okay. Well, hand over to Stephen and Boone for the first presentation.